In Skyrim, if you go far west of Whiterun, you will find the Sleeping Tree Camp. This camp contains 2 mammoths and 2 giants, who of course protect the sleeping tree itself. Now, this is not a normal tree. You'll notice that as you approach it, it has a purple aura around it. Obviously, this tree has some kind of magical properties. Well, it turns out this is actually a haste tree. How do we know this? Well, in a cave near the tree, you'll find the body of Ulag. Ulag is an adventurer who tried to steal some of the tree's sap, but instead was mauled by a giant. If you search his body, you'll find a note from Isolde, asking him to bring the sap to her stall in Whiterun. Now, if you go talk to Isolde, she'll offer to buy the sap off you, and if you ask her about the sleeping tree, she'll say this.
How the tree came to grow there is a bit of a mystery. Some say that when Vardenfell erupted, a piece was blown to the middle of Skyrim and from the crater grew the tree. I've also heard that it was a spore that fell from an island floating in the sky, but that just sounds like nonsense.
The floating island that Isolde refers to is Umbra. It is a floating island that flew above Tamriel during the events of the book The Infernal City, as well as the book Lord of Souls. To understand where this mysterious floating city came from, we have to understand the origins of Umbra. Those of you who've played Morrowind and or Oblivion will know that Umbra is a sword, and a very powerful one at that. A long time ago, the Daedric prince Clavicus Vile wanted someone to create a sword for him, one that would send him souls to his Daedric realm. He looked a long time for a blacksmith, some say months, some even say years, but he couldn't find any blacksmith fit to do this job for him. However, eventually, a witch by the name of Nainra Ware stepped forth. She managed to create the sword that Clavicus desired, but claimed that the sword was incomplete, unstable. She told Vile that a piece of his power was necessary to make the sword whole, and so he gave her what she asked, and the sword Umbra was created. However, over time the sword became sentient and even started to rebel against Clavicus Vile, constantly evading him and refusing to serve him. Realizing that he had been tricked, Clavicus Vile executed the witch, but not before she managed to hide the sword. This is quite ironic because Clavicus Vile himself is the Daedric prince of trickery and deceit. For once, he was the one to get the short end of the stick. Some believe that the witch was actually Sheogorath, the Daedric prince of madness. In any case, Umbra then is lost and eventually is found by an unnamed orc in Morrowind who assumes the name Umbra for himself. If you talk to him, he reveals that he was actually quite bloodthirsty. He even says that he has been, and I quote, ankle deep in blood, swinging Umbra in a wide arc, all for the glory of the battle. This orc is eventually slain by the Nerevarine, who becomes the new wielder of Umbra, and then eventually it ends up in the hands of a certain Lenwyn of Pell's Gate. It's unclear how or where she found the sword, but after she did, she became very bloodthirsty and started killing villagers. Also, just like the orc we talked about previously, she adopted the name Umbra for herself. She then left her village of Pell's Gate and joined a group of mercenaries, but after a while she got tired of killing, and so she isolated herself deep in the Aelid ruins of Vindaso. Clavicus Vile finds out about all this, and at this point he enlists the help of the champion of Cyrodiil to retrieve Umbra for him. Now, Clavicus Vile's dog, Barbas, advises against this, predicting that retrieving Umbra for Clavicus Vile will bring ruin to his realm. Now, in the canon lore, the champion does bring back Umbra to Clavicus, and it turns out Barbas was right. Umbra actually manages to escape from the sword and becomes its own dark being, a dark being that is shaped like a man with eyes like holes into nothing. And what's more, Umbra managed to steal some of the Daedric prince's power, and then with the help of a male Dunmer named Wuhan, it managed to tear away a piece of Clavicus Vile's realm. This separated piece of Clavicus Vile's realm became known as Umbriel, and Umbra managed to escape into Tamriel aboard Umbriel. Umbriel would then fly above the various provinces of Tamriel. To stay afloat, this city needs to be powered by souls, and so a lot of people from different cities were massacred to keep Umbriel going. In any case, Umbriel has some variation of histories on it, and so surely what must have happened is that as Umbriel was floating above Skyrim, a spore from one of the histories fell into the middle of Skyrim, from which sprung the sleeping tree. Wow, that was quite a rabbit hole. I did not expect this video to be this long when I started. If you guys want to learn more about what happened to Umbriel and just more about this in general, I recommend you guys check out the books Lord of Souls and The Infernal City by Greg Keyes. I'll leave the books down below. They're basically books that take place between the events of Oblivion and Skyrim. The books themselves were released between the release date of Oblivion and Skyrim, meaning that they actually, you know, bridge the gap between the two games. And that's where the whole thing with Umbriel takes place. So if you guys want to learn more about that and how Umbriel was ultimately stopped, then I recommend you guys check it out. And otherwise, please tell me in the comment section below if you thought this was interesting, where I take like one piece of lore and talk about it. And yeah, otherwise I'll see you guys next time. Peace!